the epic new Swift. Time to go swifting.
Hello and welcome to a very special day, everyone. We are at the cusp, the end of the IPL, but it's time to look ahead already. Everyone's sights are set on the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. Hopes are high, as they always are with the Indian team. And today we're going to actually spend some time discussing all things cricket when it comes to what's in the mind of the Indian cricket fan. What are the chances for India? What are the challenges for India as they embark on the 9th edition of the T20 World Cup, having won it just once? So on behalf of ESPN Cricinfo, it's a very special welcome to what's going to be an afternoon that I'm sure you'll all remember. So give it up for yourselves. You are the audience. This is Maruti Suzuki Arena presents ESPN Cricinfo T20 Rendezvous in association with JBL. Thank you for being with us. And I'd like for all of you to be part of the conversation as it evolves with two very, very special guests. I speak of the inaugural edition of the 2007 World T20. It predates the IPL, a simpler time, a different time, and that's the only World Cup we remember, we care to. The others weren't as important. There were two real standout figures from that World Cup. We know them over the course of their international career, which spanned more than 2 decades. One has over 300 wickets, one has over 15,000 runs, one could bowl swing down under, one could sweep in India, and they're the most recognizable faces on your screens today. Please give it up for our very special guests today, Irfan, Pathan and Matthew Hayden.
Thanks, buddy.
Should I give you a kiss as well? Like,
I'm okay.
No?
I'm okay.
But we can do the Bollywood type hug, you know, like that, and then, yeah.
Where do you want us, buddy?
What are you doing, Hayden? Here, right here.
Okay.
And Irfan there. Could you just get, I'm just going to give you a guard. Yeah, there we go. Ah, that's good. Yeah. Slightly to your left, that's leg stump. Yeah.
I'm right in the middle.
Slightly more. That's better. Yeah. Get real close and tight. Okay.
We don't mind sitting next to each other now.
Not now.
Yeah, after we retired. We're fine.
I mean, let me go back to a time where you might have not had so much love for each other. We go back to 2007, the inaugural T20 World Cup. World T20 as we called it. It predated the IPL.
Yeah.
There was an India-Australia game that was feisty. You were part of it.
Yeah.
You were part of it.
Yeah.
Take me through the memories of what is now 17 years to this day.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh, look, that particular game, India-Australia semi-final, was a very special game because that Australian team was, when you think about the players, the guy called Matthew Hayden, he used to have a big chest right coming on top of you.
Yeah, still does.
Yeah, he's like, he's got a very interesting jacket though. We'll actually talk about that.
So let's go there straight. Forget the story. Tell me the jacket story.
Look at this jacket. This is outstanding.
Wow, what is that?
It's
That's the 380, isn't it? Well done. Okay, he's going to take his jacket off. This is not part of the script, guys, because his mic has come off. It's completely a mess, but it doesn't matter.
This is beautiful.
What we have here is Haydos and the 380, which at the time was the record for
It's cool.
Test cricket.
That's pretty cool.
Well done. So, did you take an image of the score sheet, or did they score on your jacket that day?
I'm in a mess here. You're right.
We're going to help you.
We'll help you.
We'll help you. Let's get rid of that.
This didn't happen in 2007.
There you go.
Thanks.
Brilliant.
Thanks.
And let's put that. Let's make sure we get your voice. There we are.
There you go.
Our audio guys are off to lunch. Very nice of him. Yeah. There we go.
Great.
Nice and steady. Now tell us the story. Yes.
Well, you were saying about you.
Oh, just playing against Australia at that particular time. You know, we have Hayden, we had to get him out. We have Gilchrist, Andrew Simon, Ricky Ponting. You know, at that time in one-day cricket, Damian Martin used to come in.
Hussey was there too,
Hussey,
right?
yeah, Hussey was there. So you're talking about those sort of players coming after, you know, players who can actually take the game away from you as a bowler. So you are always on guard. You are always on the back foot. So what I realized, you know, when playing against a team like Australia, where I have so much aggression, you need to show the double aggression. If you don't show aggression as a fast bowler, you will be out of the game even before the game has started. So I think whenever we played against each other, I always thought, okay, I need to get him out. I need to actually find a way to be really on his face, because he used to be like that. He used to just come in and talk a lot. And he used to actually sledge in a way where, he's keeping his hands and he's like, Irfan, you are gone for 10 over 75. What's going to happen to your career now? That's what he kept saying in the final in 2004, where actually I was the highest wicket taker in Australia in that series, on my debut series. But this guy never left any chance to show us what we did wrong. So it was a great competitive game at that particular time. But in 2007, we knew that as soon as we beat these guys, because they were very strong, they won everywhere. They used to win in Australia, they used to win everywhere they go. Doesn't matter, this home and away, this situation, it's for them, it was nothing, because that's the kind of quality they had in their bowling, in their batting. Their fielding was outstanding, their fitness was top level. So for us to beat them in the semi-final in 2007 World Cup was very special, and our confidence went skyrocketed.
I mean, it was interesting for us because it was the one format.
Yeah.
All those things that you mentioned were there.
Yeah.
But it was the one format that we actually didn't think was going to be, as a group, a viable option. It was kind of like the interference to World Program.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can remember having distinctive arguments with Ricky Ponting on this matter, because he was very much in favour of the short version of the game, the white ball version of the game, and 50 over version. And his reasons were actually quite good. It was like, well, that's easy for you to say, bud. You like batting 1 and 2. I mean, it's the greatest game ever as a batsman, batting up the order. But, for anyone in the middle order, you're often out of play. And that's really shifted, hasn't it, since 2007? I'm sure we'll discuss that a lot more. There's a lot more 4-ball, 5-ball players in T20 cricket that are going all around the world and actually killing it.
Yep.
So I thought our attitude at that time was the one thing that kind of defeated us. And what we found on the other side of the coin was a very committed, fired up group of young but experienced Indian players that had done their testament of time, had eyeballed, the side like Australia, who was clearly, a dominant force through that era, and was ready to take us on. So when I had my not so subtle sledges to Irfan Pathan, what was met with was a resistance, which we hadn't felt before to any great level. I mean, under Sourav Ganguly, there was a sense that India was starting to grow. A sense that, the characters like, for example, Rahul Dravid and Laxi and Sachin, and they were generationally great players, gifted players, but there wasn't the fire and aggression of Harbhajan Singh. There wasn't an Irfan Pathan. There wasn't a Yuvi. There wasn't these guys that were just up for it, and there also wasn't a very calm leader and inexperienced leader at that time, MSD. Who was starting to really, find their feet within the international game.
I mean, 17 years on, we're still talking about MSD as an active player. Who knows whether today could be his last game for CSK, but we'll save that sentiment for a little later. What's not changed in 17 years is it is still so important to beat Australia to win a World Cup. It happened in 2007. It didn't happen in 2023. And a very similar set of players, perhaps with even more hunger to want to go the full length, given it might be the last chance, at least in this shortest format, for the likes of Rohit and Virat. So I want to just talk to you guys about how much has changed first. That's something that's not changed. But now we're into the 9th edition of the T20 World Cup. We are looking at an IPL which has seen a record number of sixes, high scores and all of that. What kind of World Cup do you expect in 2 weeks' time? It's going to be in the US. We've seen a World Cup in the Caribbean. We saw a different World Cup in Australia a couple of years back. What are we expecting this year?
So when the World Cup was there in Australia, when the World Cup was there in South Africa, there was a set pattern, right? The team has been selected in a way that, okay, these are the kind of pitches you'll get, and these are the kind of cricket you need to play. Maybe you need to be careful in South Africa, especially early on in the power play. In Australia, with the really good pitches, you can go hard from first 6 overs as well. But here in this World Cup, there'll be different pitches in West Indies, different pitches in America. Yes, there are those pitches you'll see in America which have a bit more bounce, especially those pitches which you get in Australia and in New Zealand as well. But when you go to West Indies, there'll be some slowness on the pitch as well. So you need to prepare to play this World Cup in 2 phases as a team. It is very important. And I think, considering what we have seen with the Indian team, there are a lot of spinners, we'll have that kind of phase really covered up. Yes, you need to play good cricket as far as the Indian cricket is concerned. But every team needs to be prepared to play this World Cup in 2 phases.
When you say 2 phases, you mean
US and
the US leg separately and the West Indies leg separately.
and largely that'll be unknown.
Yeah.
So they'll drop in wickets obviously up in New York. I mean, drop-in wickets tend to be quite settled, so you do understand that they can be hollow with a bit of extra bounce.
Yeah.
But India doesn't have to worry about that. It's got a team that can do both.
Yeah.
Australia, on the other hand, its great nemesis is going to be England, and in the group phases, that is. And look, they'll be relatively benign conditions. They're good batting surfaces. They're good power-hitting batting surfaces. So when I prepared for the West Indies in 2007 World Cup, I wasn't interested in getting my foot anywhere near the ball.
Yeah.
In fact, I was looking to get my foot away from the ball, so that the only thing that could hurt me is getting LB, and then from that moment on, launched at both sides of the ground with zero fear. So it's going to be quite a big scoring T20 World Cup, especially on the back of what we have seen. We cannot underestimate what IPL cricket does to advance the modern T20 game.
Yeah. Speaking of IPL cricket, we'll come to the groups in a minute, which you've spoken of. But I'm sure the questions on a lot of our fans' minds and generally cricket lovers across India is, how much can we read into how these players who play the World Cup have played the IPL? Is IPL form or league form important when it's so close to a World Cup? Not just for Indian players like a Jaiswal or a Surya or a Rohit who've had up and down World Cups, even international players. Liam Livingstone's had an ordinary World Cup, perhaps Johnny Best or David Warner. Is IPL form relevant when it comes to the World Cup?
You want to feel good. When you go to the World Cup, you don't want to find form. You want to be in form. If you're looking to get form in the World Cup, it might be too late. Luckily, because now the World Cup is bigger, right? It's not like what was there in 2007, 50-over World Cup in West Indies, 3 games and you're out if you don't perform.
That format also went out.
Yes. So you have chance.
I wonder why.
Let's not get into it.
Because Pakistan didn't qualify.
So you'll have chances, to play against Ireland and play against the team which are not, the strongest team in the world. So you will get time to get back into the form. I'm looking from an Indian point of view. So this is where the team management comes into big way, because how they make you feel in this between the IPL and the World Cup. It is so important, and this is where Rahul Dravid's responsibility will be so big, that he needs to make sure that guys like Rohit is in top form as far as the mindset is concerned. Guys, our vice captain Hardik Pandya, feeling good about his cricket because he's gone through a lot as far as the captaincy is concerned and performance is concerned. Surya needs to be in top notch as well if he wants to win the World Cup, because he will be very crucial in the middle overs. At the same time, we need to make sure that our bowlers, who has gone for so many runs apart from Jasprit Bumrah, they feel good about themselves as well. So yes and no both, answering your question, that it is important to feel good about your performance, but if you have good management who can make you feel good and make you believe that there are games which will allow you to come back to the form, because real World Cup for me, as far as the Indian team is concerned, is the knockouts.
100%.
And before that, there are so many matches.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good just thinking about the Caribbean. Those beautiful turquoise waters, having a look out to sea.
Nice,
it's a magic
rum punch as well.
Oh, please.
Yeah, because you like the waves.
I love the ocean.
Our Indian cricketers don't go to surfing, but you do.
Look, your brain doesn't know the difference between playing gully cricket or playing World Cup cricket. Winning is a habit.
Yeah.
Winning is a habit that understands itself and it sorts itself out. And you'll often hear former players like us talking about the form, whether it be in IPL cricket and how that transfers over to World Cup cricket. Of course, your brain is not in that space. It's just thinking about the habit of being present in the moment.
Yeah.
And the bigger the moment, the bigger the title,
Yeah.
the more it has to be in that moment. So, from an Australian perspective, there'll be always conversations, huge debate around, Jake Fraser McGurk and Davey Warner and, what that looks like. But the reality is they understand that they can and perhaps will win the World Cup. That's what they're thinking right now.
Yeah.
And so their mindset, regardless of whether they're playing domestic cricket back in Australia, IPL cricket here, or when they arrive in the Caribbean, their one thought is how it is that they're going to dominate the World Cup. And that's it.
And it seems like for Australia, a team that we've all seen break our hearts a few months back, it doesn't matter whether that team had Cummins the captain, this team has Marsh the captain, similar set of players, senior, junior. It just seems like exactly what you said. They will go into this World Cup thinking we're as strong as anybody else. On the other hand,
there's not a tribal influence in Australia, meaning that there's one people. Many nations, every community is represented in Australia, including a vast Indian community. There's 1 million expat Indians living in Australia of a 25 million population. So when I go to winter cricket, for example, largely I'll see a great influence of Indian Pakistani players playing in Australia as Australians.
Sure.
So there's a great representation for the one thing that really has mattered. Many nations have tried to emulate this, but the iconic symbol of Australian cricket is the baggy green. Now that gets filtered down into, it's not a baggy yellow, but it puts into place, how it is that there is a tapestry of thinking, regardless of the leaders who have been so consistent.
So managing superstars, by what you're saying, has not really been an Australian cricket problem.
There's not a celebrity culture.
There isn't a celebrity culture.
No.
You know where I'm going with this.
There should be.
Yes.
Now, because you mentioned the importance of India's key players, starting with their captain and vice captain, feeling good. Forget what their playing form is. Rohit Sharma got some runs last night, and we know how important Hardik Pandya is, regardless of what's happened. But can't ignore everything that has happened.
Yeah.
Imagine yourselves to be Rahul Dravid right now, welcoming back after quite a long break and after everything that happened in the IPL, Rohit and Hardik. You want to nip something in the bud or check it at the dressing room? Is there a conversation that needs to be had to ensure whatever's happened has happened, guys? Focus on the ball now.
Actually, I will not even discuss this. Whatever has happened. I'll just say that this is my, expectation is from you. I want you to win the games for Team India. This is the roadmap, and this is how I want my team to play. And you are the important part of our team, and you are the match winner. Because I really think, as an all-rounder, Hardik Pandya, you name Hardik Pandya, I'll say he will play a very crucial role. The reason being that how many fast bowlers we have taken? 3 fast bowlers.
Yes, 3 specialists.
Only 3 pure specialist fast bowlers. Then the 2 other guys, Hardik Pandya, who can bowl, those medium pace and fast bowling, and Shivam Dube. So literally, if you look at the team, apart from these 3 fast bowlers, you don't have. So when the time comes, and I really think that's a very, very important, factor as far as if we want to win the World Cup. His 3 or 4 overs will become so crucial, because if he does that regularly, which he has done in last few games, what will happen? We can actually play extra spinner in West Indies if required, because we're playing day games. Afternoon games will have a bit more purchase for spinners than the night games. We all know that because of dew. It's very simple. It's not rocket science. So this is where he comes into picture, that he needs to feel good. He needs to actually believe that he can make contribution. And this is where the conversation of the IPL should not be even happening, not even once. Forget it, what has happened, don't even talk about it. Just focus what Rahul Dravid wants from a particular player like Hardik Pandya or anyone else, and just make sure they are very focused on that. And this is where Australia doesn't have a celebrity culture. Fortunately, unfortunately, we have that. We have that, and ideally I would want to have a nice balance between Australian culture and Indian culture, where we come in between. Sometimes having that kind of culture does not help us.
Sure.
But at the same time, we are what we are. We are not Australians, we are Indians. Our emotions are different. Our ethics are different. Our mindset are different. This is where I really think, let me say it again, I said it before also. When Greg Chappell came in, his intention was pure. His intention was Indian cricket to go on a high. So he wanted everyone to be treated equally, and he wanted everyone to work in a same way, which, for the Indian team. But his way was proper Australian, which didn't work in India. And which I believe that his intention wasn't a question, and I have huge respect for him. So this is where I had told him also on his face that your intention is good, but make sure you find a way in the center, to actually make the best for Indian cricket, because you want Indian cricket to grow, but this aggression will not work. And I told him at the start. So anyway, so we need to come in between and manage that nicely.
Yeah, just a quick comment on Hardik and Rohit. See, a men's dressing room is very simple. Without one word, you know who the leader is. Nothing has to be spoken.
Yeah.
You'll look at each other,
Yeah.
you'll understand what has to happen, and then you move forward accordingly. So it's music to my ears what Irfan just said there about how it is that you're not going to address it. Don't even talk about it. Don't think of an apple, he says. I love it, because the apple just goes, oh, it's ready to be picked for an Australian point of view. See, the ecosystem of a successful cricket team is very fragile.
Yeah.
And you saw what happened to Mumbai Indians as a result of that. 5 titles, submerged log right from the start, something that perhaps wasn't addressed. I don't know. I'm just looking as an outsider in as to the body language of a number of players, including Rohit, and the most important player, the 12th and 13th man at Bankhadi Stadium.
Yep.
Who have this great sentiment towards the celebrity culture. The hitman. If you say one thing against Hitman, your life is finished. So that's the power of the culture, which is a great promoter, but it's also a great liability.
Yeah.
And we saw that at the World Cup as well, at the penultimate end of the stick, where there had to be an egoless and extremely secure ecosystem over in Ahmedabad.
Yeah.
And it was found wanting. It was found wanting by a team that barely scraped it into the semis and the final.
Yep.
It shouldn't have really been there in many ways. Maxwell was just a hit miracle against Afghanistan. But the reality is, see, if you don't address these things, as an Australian I'm saying, and we've had times like that in our culture as well. I'll never forget in 2005, for the very first time, our great Australian cricket team poked its head up and went, what's England doing? Oh, there's KP, he's doing this. Otherwise, for 15 years of my career, we didn't care. Because it was all about those 11 that were sitting in that ring, understanding perfectly how it is that we were going to proceed, understanding exactly who the leader was, and we were shirt-fronted for the first time by a situation which got out of our control and into our egos, and we played accordingly.
All about the 11 then. That's the important part. Try and forget everything that's happened and focus on the 11. So let's focus on your 11s for India and try and understand what is India's mantra to win this T20 World Cup.
Yeah.
A slight hand was revealed with the squad itself. Spin heavy. As we know, we were thinking it'll be one wrist spinner or two, one left arm finger spinner or two. They've taken all the spinners effectively. So let's go to Irfan's 11 first.
Yeah.
And they have to come with a plan now on what is our best 11 to start with.
Yeah.
We've got Irfan's first 11 for the T20 World Cup on screen.
So I've given you 2 options.
Yes, you have.
Okay.
Let's start with this. You would like to see this team to start against Ireland in the first game.
Yeah, so why I kept Yashasvi Jaiswal there is purely because I seen a lot of team has left arm spinner. And we know that, if against Rohit and Virat, if they open, there will be a time where a lot of team use left arm spinner at the start in the power play. And that can happen. So I want to avoid that. I want Yashasvi to be in form. I want Yashasvi's left-handedness to be used for Team India, and he can take the game away. Yeah. If he's on song, he can actually take the game away. So that's why Rohit open, Yashasvi Jaiswal open, and Virat Kohli at number 3.
Right.
Virat Kohli, look, a lot of people talk about his strike rate, but I believe he's a match winner. He thinks about winning the games. He doesn't think too much about, how slow or how fast he's going. So, and especially on big occasions.
He's a true Australian.
Yeah, he's aggressive. He is very aggressive. He's right in your face.
The strike rate debate is valid to some degree or not valid at all?
No, it is valid when it comes to questioning particular games. But when it comes to Virat Kohli particularly, my personal view has always been very clear. He's a match winner. He's a consistent player.
Sure.
Either you're going to get consistency or you're going to get a higher strike rate.
He's got both in this IPL. So this IPL has actually been a revelation.
Yeah,
if anything, we're seeing Kohli 3.0 or 2.0.
But where did he bat?
Yeah.
And why he's able to do that is because he's actually started to play slog sweep, which he didn't use it for so many years. He started to actually step out to fast ball and he said, okay, I'm not going to play along the ground. I'm going to play in the air. So that is why his strike rate is up. Number 4, Surya Kumar Yadav. I want Rishabh Pant to start because that is this 11.
Yes.
The other 11, where Sanju Samson starts, he bats at 3.
Right, but this is your preferred between the two?
Preferred one.
Yeah, this is the alternate 11. Now this is interesting because you have Rohit and Virat opening.
Yes.
No Jaiswal, Samson over Pant.
Yes.
And you have room for both
Akshar and
Jadeja.
Yeah, this is where you get actually a bigger batting lineup without, compromising too much in the middle overs. Where in the first one, if you go back to the first one, see here we have 3 spinners, Akshar, Jadeja and Kuldeep Yadav. Here we have 2 spinners.
Yeah, here you have 4 specialist bowlers at the bottom there, counting Jadeja.
Yes.
And you need Hardik and Dubey to bowl 4 overs for you.
Yes.
Whereas in the other one, you actually have 5 bowlers.
Yeah.
And Hardik is additional.
And why I think this is my first 11? Because I think the games in the afternoon will have something for the bowlers, and those half bowlers actually become full ones.
Right.
Especially if you have something in the pitch. If you have flat pitches, you require the 5th proper bowler. But in a pitches which has slightly grip, even guys like Shivam Dube can actually use those, slow into the cutters and become a very useful bowler. So that is why I said, okay, let's have a strong batting lineup where Ravindra Jadeja bats at number 8, not 7. Because for me, in many years, for playing for Team India, Ravindra Jadeja batting at 7 hasn't won the game for Team India. So this is where I want him to be there as a bowler, as a solid fielder and as a number 8 batter.
Batting is a bonus then. If I come back to that alternate 11, Rohit and Kohli opening is in the minds of quite a few fans at the moment.
Yes.
Because Kohli is in great form opening, Rohit's form is up and down, and that allows you to play Samson, batting depth. Does that open the door for an opposition to bowl, say, spin early?
Yes.
Lots of right-handers, 1 to 5, all right-handers.
Yes. So this is where, if this team is being played, not my first choice, this is my second choice, then Shivam Dube will play as a floater. Exactly what he does for CSK. He'll play, he'll come in around 9-10 over and he'll counter those spinners, the left-arm spinners, and he can do it from the word go.
Okay. Hayden, you have an interesting take on your ideal 11. Irfan has given you his first 11, which has Jaiswal, and this is Jaiswal's first ICC event. Who knows, he could actually be a point of difference as we speak of. One of the few players who was not part of the last 2 editions. Now this is Matthew Hayden's team. Anything noticeable in Matthew Hayden's team? Come on, I'll leave it to the audience. What's the first thing that strikes you? Rohit, yeah. This is great fun. So Hayden is a man who loves the 2007-8 era where that's where Rohit Sharma played.
Yeah.
Now take it away, Hayden. Jaiswal and Kohli to open. Rohit somewhere in the middle.
You have to have a left and right hand combination. For mine, you can't have 4 right-handers, 5 right-handers in a row, even if they float, because you'll just get lined up. Australia will just go Zampa, hello. And yeah, they might play him really well, but they'll try and make those matchups. They'll try and put Virat Kohli under immense pressure as well in the power play. He has to open.
Kohli has to open for you.
Has to open, in my view. He is in absolutely red-hot form of his life, or he doesn't play in my team. So he opens, and with Jaiswal, with Surya Kumar Yadav, who's arguably the best number 3 in world cricket currently, and you can see how he can explore any options at any time. But yeah, those first 6 overs, they become such a key weapon and arsenal for Team India. And I want my very, very best player, maybe of all time, in that top 6 in Virat Kohli.
Okay, you're saying Kohli either opens or he doesn't play in your team, and I understand the numbers.
Yeah.
Rohit bats at 4. Otherwise, he also shouldn't play in your team if he's not opening. Same argument.
True. But I think with Rohit, he's a versatile player. He's someone that has power. He's someone that doesn't He doesn't shy away from the opportunity to bat in that middle order as well. He's had a successful record in T20 cricket batting at 4, and he can really lead the charge and lead that batting group from the early middle order. And you sit, Rishabh or Shivam. Hardik is the big question mark for mine in that lineup.
Okay.
How Rohit Sharma gets him to perform, how he sees his role. I think what he sees his role currently is a batting all-rounder. No way. Hardik, you've got to bowl your 4 overs. You're a bowling all-rounder at this stage of your career, and a handy number 7 or number 8 power hitter. Because you've got Shivam Dubey there who can come in and do that role, which is actually the same role of Hardik. So yes, he might be able to punch out a few overs, but then spin heavy, especially Kuldeep and Jadoo to play the role that Axar plays a little bit in that relationship as well at Delhi.
Okay.
And then your 2 bowlers.
Happy with that. I just want to quickly ask, have the 2 of you maybe engage on each other's teams? Do you see any chance or any merit in Rohit playing the role of a floater, something he did in the early parts of the T20 World Cup when you used to play this?
See, not that he can't do it. Matthew Hayden rightly said that, he's very versatile. He can actually have that power game straight away against the spinner as well. But I would think no, because why KL Rahul missed out being in the squad, in the World Cup squad? Because he didn't bat in the middle overs. If he was batting in the middle overs in the IPL, his name would have, definitely would have been considered by selectors in the squad, because he's been experienced, he's done really well in the 50-over World Cup. He was continuously scoring runs. But because he was open, the consideration wasn't there. That's why 2 wicket keepers and he's still not there.
Yep.
So you need to make sure that you've been playing for 14 games in a particular season. Getting 1 step down from your open to number 3, it's not that difficult, because you might still play in the power play. But from batting, opening the inning, and then from there to batting, say about 7, 8, 9, 10 overs, different game. Different game altogether. I was a floater when I used to bat. I opened the inning, I batted number 3. If you ask me what number I would have preferred, I would have liked more pace, because the kind of batting I had. And I would have preferred to bat at 3 regularly for Team India, but I didn't have chance. I had 32 average in one-day cricket, but when I batted number 7, that average was about 24. So things becomes different, when you play in a different position. And for some players, is actually creates, more trouble than actually benefit. So, sorry, Hados, this is just my thinking, but I'm not saying that he has not done it. In T20 World Cup,
that's fine. So you wouldn't go for Rohit down, but Irfan's given an alternate 11 where he has Rohit and Kohli opening. For you, that's not something you'd entertain.
No, see,
Yep.
an overarching principle, going right back to the start of the show. What's changed? Well, the one thing that's changed is the power game. It was being created back in 2007. Perhaps even I led the charge there. But now it's a foregone conclusion.
Yeah.
That's why everyone is on notice. Like when you look at the top 20 scorers in IPL this season,
Sure.
there's really only 2 players in my head that have got the ultimate power game. Travis Head, strike rate north of 200, and Abhishek Sharma, who is like high 190s. And so when I look at that Indian lineup, the only question if I was selecting it is, have I got enough batting power? Because I know that I've got enough with the team that we've selected there, enough strike force with the ball, especially at the death. The best in the world, Jasprit Bumrah, proves that time and time again.
Yep.
And
So
you've-
power's primary and you want Jaiswal there.
And you've got spin at day. So when you think about England's last T20 campaign,
It was about power.
they just smashed the whole world. They smashed everyone into submission. So this, I'm going to make no bones about it. This World Cup is going to be won by the best power hitting batting unit that has that ability to be able to take out the power play.
All right. On that note, one point of conversation in that team, both of you have preferred Pant over Samson in your first 11s. Reasons? Pant over Samson?
Because he's batting in the middle overs.
Okay.
So there is some familiarity, because that is what he has done for last 14 games since they've come back, after the injury. The other thing is purely because he's a left-handed batsman as well, who's in form, who can actually play straight and the leg side really well. A lot of left-arm spinners, a lot of leg spinners are there. Not many team has, that regular off-spinning option who can take the ball away from the left-hand batter. So purely because of that, and he likes the big stages.
Sure.
Yeah.
Eros?
Yeah, look, I think the matchups are going to be the right arm leg spin.
Leg spinners, yeah.
They'll just go straight into that mode where against pace his strike rate's enormous.
Yeah.
160, 180 plus. As soon as he gets slow pace bowl, I think where he's struggling with his game plan is he doesn't have the subtleties of KL Rahul, for example. He doesn't have that gamesmanship where he goes gap, hit gap, what he thinks is 6, and sometimes what he tries is the impossible, which we've all done as batters, especially when that, just what I was saying before, it's a power game.
Sure.
So he lacks that bit of power. So that's his threat. But the opportunity is on these good West Indian tracks, and even though they're unknown conditions, he must be there. I've always said this about Rishabh Pant in the early days of his selection. There's been very few players that actually see the game before it's played. So he was visionary. Like I'm thinking of guys like Adam Gilchrist, for example, who, the man batted with a squash ball in his hand to win a World Cup. But he saw the game differently, so he's an outlier. Rishabh Pant has always been an outlier. And actually, even the last 12 months, when I look at his condition and his miraculous recovery from his accident, he's once again an outlier. Everyone expected him to not even be a part of this IPL. Now he's not only a part of it, he's a top run scorer of Delhi's, and now he's clearly going to be, in the form of his life as well coming into this World Cup. So he's a must select for me.
All right, fair enough.
The epic new Swift. Time to go swifting.